Welcome home. This is the Irish Roots Cafe, where every day's a holiday and there's always room for one more. Come right this way, have a seat with me today in the corner booth. We're celebrating our 112th week. Sweeney, clear that floor. Katie, bar the door. Molly, put on another pot of Irish coffee and bring out the Irish dancers. It's time we get this show on the road. We've got another full house today, not a chair to spare. I'm Mike OLaughlin, your host, and you can reach me on my webpage at irishroots.com anytime, and you can check out the written show notes on my blog. We've got a lot of little links there that you can just click on and go to what we're talking about here on this broadcast. And you can also search all of our books and videos and podcasts for free. And hey, one more thing, you can phone me at 816-256-3360 and leave your message. Try it, you'll like it. Among today's topics, the Irish family name of the week is Morrissey. The most friendly and the least friendly towns in Europe. The book of the month is Finding Your Chicago Irish, and we've also got County Mayo Genealogy and Family History Notes. Number 4, what are the top Irish personal names in the U.S.? Number 5, Coca-Cola banned in Ireland since 2004. Number 6, the World Bodhran Championships coming up. Number 7, Irish videos of the day. Cycling from Howth to Dublin and the Mayo coast. Well, now we're going to take a look at some of the notes for this week. And just thought I'd let you know we're planning some upgrades to the irishroots.com webpage, and we'll have some things coming up. Been working on it for a while. It actually ends up being quite a thing if you try to do it all at once. So we're just getting our strategy together. And members are going to get some more podcasts in this area and in their area. And the free weekly podcast is going to remain in place as usual. So no fear there. Number 2, a month or two ago, I told you Molly went to Ireland and they had a good old time. And her and a few of her friends wanted to ride Ireland's only cable car, and that runs to Dursey, Ireland, and it's in County Cork. Now, Molly looked around and saw some frayed wires on the ground, and she thought that was an omen, and she decided to stay on dry land, while her friends went on to ride just merrily along. Well, you know what? They might have been a little skeptical of Molly's judgment and thought she was a little bit timid. Crossing over the water there, just having a jolly old time. But you know what? This month, they were replacing that old cable car with a new cable car. And guess what they found? The wires were so dangerously frayed that they had to replace them. So that little trolley is out of service right now. And I think that shows that old Molly might have a little intuition there that could come in real handy. At number 3, this week's Song and Recitation Festival covers Sean Nose dancing and a little bit more. You can get that out on iTunes or on our webpage. And that's the third and final part of our interview with Michael Collier. And he talks about Sean Nose dancing and the history of the Irish dance in America and in Ireland. And in the States, especially in California, Kansas City, and Boston. So that's an interesting thing, and if you've got any interest at all in the field, I'd suggest you just take a listen. That's our Irish Song and Recitation Festival broadcast this week. Well, now it's time we move on to what's it going to be? It's going to be the Books of the Month. Well, we're going to pick for the Irish Family series. We're going to pick the County Mayo Genealogy and Family History Notes, and we've also got a video of Mayo down later in this section that we'll talk about. And the most numerous families in County Mayo in the 1800s, who were they? Well, we'll have a fuller list on the blog that you can read, but there are names like Walsh and Gallagher and Kelly and Malley and Morin and Duffy and McHale, Gibbons, Joyce, Connor, Conway, Higgins, Murphy, Burke, Riley, Durkin, Doherty, McHugh, Sweeney, and Lyons. And of course, you can spell those all so many different ways. I put 2 or 3 on the webpage just to show some of the variety there in those family names. And in that book, it gives you a good overview for researching in the county. And we also list some of the special resources that are available. There's a lot of things like tithe payers, list of those, and voters and petitioners. Smaller lists perhaps than a full-blown census, but they sure help localize those families, and you can get a hold of it. And so many of those are found at the National Library or at the National Archives of Ireland in Dublin. Things like the Books of Survey and Distribution. The Tithe Allotment books are more like the 1820 era in Ireland. In 1654, you got a list of transplanted persons. And, of course, a lot of folks know about the spinning wheel lists, and a lot of names are listed there. And there's also names like the 1798 list of those who suffered a loss in the rebellion of that year. That's in the National Library. And tithe payers and Mayo freeholders in 1842 and voters lists in 1850. And, of course, the 1910 and 1911 censuses of Ireland. There's all kinds of little places to research in all the counties, so this just gets you acquainted with a lot of them. Now, the second book we'll pick this month to bring your attention to is a book entitled Finding Your Chicago Irish by Sharon Shea Bossard. And we've got the link on the blog, and you can find it on Amazon, of course. It's no relation to me. I just saw it. It looked like an interesting title. And I don't know how much actual genealogy might be in it, but it sounds like there's going to be a lot of Chicago Irish history in it. So I think I'll get a hold of that book and see what it's like. And it didn't look too costly, so if you got some Chicago Irish roots, or if you're looking at the history of the Irish in America, that's sure to be an interesting little book. I bet they even mention, who was that, old Mayor Daley and some of that crowd? Hey, but you know what? This reminds me, coming up, we're going to talk later about where you can find the top personal Irish names in America today, and we'll also talk about bagging it in Dublin. But right now, it's time to raise our eyes skyward, give thanks and ask for help, and say thank you. Here are today's Magnificent Seven. Number 1, John E. Wilson of El Prado, New Mexico. Your Irish families, families of Kerry, Ireland, and County Sligo Genealogy and Family History Notes book have all shipped. Number 2, welcome to new member Marcia Sue Patrick of Houston, Texas, and searching for William Jackson McCullough. We covered McCullough in last week's podcast for her. And they were born in Armagh in 1828, and Mary Jane Duncan, also born there in 1828, and they were married in New York in 1848. So if you've got a connection, let me know. I'll get you all in touch. Number 3, Bridget O'Donnell of Milton, Massachusetts. Your Families of County Galway has shipped. Number 4, Candace Lundgren of Chaska, Minnesota. Your Families of County Donegal has shipped. Number 5, Dave Berry of Ontario, Canada. Your Milesian Families of Ireland has shipped. J. Patrick Harland of Calgary, Canada. Your Families of County Clare has shipped. And last, number 7, Peter Morrison of Perth, Western Australia. Your County Sligo Genealogy and Family History Notes has shipped. Hey, that reminds me, thank you to each and every one of you who are members, because without you, these broadcasts wouldn't be able to go out, wouldn't be able to put them together. The books would have never come about, and there'd been a whole lot of people we wouldn't have been in touch with and been helping over the years. So thank you very much. I do appreciate it. Well, that moves us into which section? It's the Irish family name of the day. Well, today's name is going to be Morrissey, and that's a well-known Irish name, isn't it? Today's family history is in honor of Sue Morrissey Moore of Canyon Lakes, California, and we'll take a look at that name, and of course you can spell it a lot of ways. You can have those double R's and double S's in there, or you could just have a single R or a single S in Morrissey, and you can have an O before the name. We find that often in the older records, and of course it can be shortened to Morris, which causes some confusion, and in some isolated instances, some folks say it could even come from Fitzmaurice, dropping the Fitz and just making that Morrissey on the end. So that gives you an idea. And we found a lot of spelling variations in the variant spelling groups number 1556, 1557, and 1558. Oh, and there's also group number 2502. So I bet you there might be 20 different spellings listed there. And that's taken from the Master Guide to the Various Spellings of Irish Family Names. We've got a link on the blog. Well, let's take a quick look at just part of the excerpt on the family name from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small, and that's the lead volume of our Big Irish Families project, which is a 34-volume set. And this volume, the Book of Irish Families, is meant to work with each of the following volumes in the series, just giving a little more family history than was possible in the individual county books. And we read in that book that the families of the name of Morrissey come from several separate and unrelated families. So that's something to remember. Just because there's a Morrissey down the street, that doesn't mean you're necessarily related. And if you're an old native Irish family, you might come from the Morrisseys in Carbery and Tirragh baronies in Sligo Bay, or near Sligo Bay, in County Sligo. But you know what? The name spread out since there, and you can't find it there that often in modern times. So in that case, the family did move. You can also find Waterford, Limerick, and County Cork being more populated with that name today. And there's a couple more paragraphs on the name, but we'll just include, let me see. It's noted that there are English families of the Morrissey name in Ireland as well. So you could be an English Morrissey or an Irish Morrissey in that case. But like I say, you can read more in the book. That's from the Book of Irish Families, Great and Small. Let's take a quick look. Well, if we look in the Irish family coats of arms, in the Book of Arms, the Irish Book of Arms, we find a Morris and a Morrison for sure in that book, but not under the spelling of Morrissey. So that's that. And hey, what else we got coming up later? Did you know that some students had Coca-Cola banned in Ireland all the way back in 2004? Well, I was going right on into modern times, so we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's take a little last look at Morrissey. If we go to that free master index search of Irish family names that I have on the website, we can find under that exact spelling, the name is listed about 27 times. And we find it in sources, standard sources like the Birth Index of Ireland, Irish Genealogies, which is published separately from Keating's History of Ireland. And we even find O. Morrissey, of course, in the Annals of Ireland by the Four Masters. And it's in a whole lot of our county books, so it's a common name. And that includes our books like the Families of County Cork, Ireland, County Waterford Genealogy and Family History Notes, Families of County Limerick, and County Tipperary Genealogy and Family History. It's just pretty widespread there all around those areas. So there's going to be some resources. You just have to narrow that county down. Well, you know what? We're going to move to the websites of the week. Let's see. We'll take the first website's going to be one. It says Patrick Morrissey and Mary Phelan. And it also includes the Morrissey Family History Newsletter. We'll have the link to that on our blog to help any of those Morrissey families. I think this is a family that was connected to Canada, and we just took that at random just in case it might help you. And let's take a look. I think we have 2 videos of the week. You know, there's a lot of people cycling in Ireland, bicycling in Ireland when they tour. Got to be careful with the traffic on the roads, but here's a video on cycling from Howth to Dublin, Ireland, and that should be interesting. That's on YouTube. I got a link on the blog. And the second video of the week is County Mayo's Atlantic Coast. So if you're a little homesick and want to see what that coastline is like, you can tune into that one. The link's on the blog. Well, gosh, we've done well today. This brings us right up to the last section, and that's, of course, Curious News and Notes. Number 1, Dublin is one of the last airports in Europe to charge for plastic bags needed to put liquids in if you fail to bring your own bags for the flight. So bring your own bags or they're going to charge you. I think it was €1 for 2 plastic bags, self-sealable plastic bags, I think they said. Number 2, Dublin has been voted the friendliest city in Europe. And you guess who was the least friendly city in Europe? That would have been Paris. More about that, click on the blog. Number 3, among the top personal names in the U.S. are Braden and Colin and Riley and Kayla, Morgan, Megan, and Caitlin. And there's more than that. You can read more about it. Just click on that link on our blog, and it'll give you the rest of those Irish names that are popular in America. Hey, hundreds of bicycles are going to be available this summer in Dublin for those wishing to tour the country in that way. They're putting up 40 rental stations just for visitors in Dublin City, so that'll be good. And number 5, a ban of Coca-Cola since 2004 has been lifted by vote of students at Trinity College. So isn't that nice that they finally lifted the ban? I think there was some political reasoning there, something that they disagreed with, or maybe they didn't think Coca-Cola should be in certain countries, or I don't know what it was exactly. We're going to have to read that article to find out. Hey, number 6, the relics of St. Teresa of the Little Flower arrived in St. Mary's Cathedral in Killarney, County Kerry just recently. And that's a part of a national tour in the country, so that's sure to get a good response. And if you've been in Killarney, you have probably seen the cathedral there. And number 7, let's finish it off with the World Bodhran Championships are coming up in Milltown in June, and that'll be for the bank holiday in June. And it's a one-of-a-kind event to be sure. And, of course, the bodhran is the Irish drum that you've probably seen and heard. And it's a good one, so boy, that'd be a fun little championship to attend. And I bet there's about 1,000 people listening to me now that could actually go and either play their own bodhran, enter in the beginning category maybe. You know what they say, you can't have too many bodhran players. Well, I think that's going to do it for today. And remember to send your comments by clicking on the contact link on our webpage at www.irishroots.com. or send by mail to our American address, the Irish Roots Cafe, Box 7575, Kansas City, Missouri 64116. Leave your message or report on things in your part of the world when you call my phone recorder at 816-256-3360. Skype me at Irish Roots Cafe, and you can also find me on MySpace at Irish Roots Cafe, on Facebook as Mike OLaughlin, and on Twitter as Irish Roots Cafe. I've got links to all those on the blog. And remember, members foot the bill, so they get first priority, but we're open to all. And by the way, a big thank you to all of our members. And away.